and I'm doing the Zoom to YouTube connection, setting up my meeting for YouTube Live within the confounds of Zoom. Copy the URL of my Zoom, and it's working well. That's the third party. And I'm going to copy the Zoom onto my text. Okay. Who would like to moderate the session today? And do I have any volunteers?
I can.
Okay, Nikita, did you volunteer?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. And who else wants to help Nikita in moderating the session today? Any volunteers for class participation?
I can do it.
Okay, so Julian, Rhett. Okay, good. All right, so check on that. We'll go through some housekeeping in the beginning, and we'll talk about a review. Okay. I'm waiting for everybody to get their cameras going, and we'll start. Okay. And I wanted to thank especially Daniel for helping us out in the lab last time. Gave me a lot of feedback that the students seemed to be positive on that. Okay, so Daniel, thank you on that aspect. And also some of you that helped out your other students there. Okay. Any questions before we begin? All right. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, and Daniel, I see that you put in the chat to everyone that you're able to do that. A number of people were contacting me about the assignment, that you had issues with your laptop and getting access to the trading platform. And as I mentioned before, the lab is available to you in the School of Business. That same lab that we were in is available to you. So NinjaTrader is installed there. So if you'd like to use the lab, you're welcome to use the lab there. And you're able to do that. Okay, so let's start. Let me share my screen. We see that we are on YouTube Live, where everybody's getting set up. I'm going to go to the content. And the first thing I'm going to go to is what's due. And we can see that today is September 30th. And this Wednesday, we have our automated trading system back testing exercise due this Wednesday, and the following Monday is the other assignment of back testing the index, optimizing the trading algorithm. So we need to, and then you have some readings that be on the exam, which is on Wednesday, October 9th, in the SBA lab. You need to bring with you your laptop and your student ID. But these are areas in which I want you to read these articles. I've added one more article here on generative AI in hedge funds. So it's basically, many of you are finance majors, is basically how is AI going to be incorporated into hedge funds and all of the financial dealings, even in wealth management and others. So we'll cover that as well. And this Wednesday, which is October 2nd, we'll go over security from chapter 4, and we'll also have a guest speaker, the security director of the university. So that should be interesting. As I do my lecture on security, we'll also have the director of security here, and we'll be able to, he's going to give us a security assignment, and we'll be able to ask him questions as well. All right, so let's begin. So the first thing that I want to think about, when I did the big data case study, we used algorithmic trading. Automated systems as an example. And in big data, what we used was a data feed. And we're analyzing it. So one of the things that you need to understand is, what is an algorithm? What is a, well, even an indicator? What is a strategy? We're going to go over that today. And we said that an algorithm was basically a set of rules to perform a task. And an indicator is like formula, is an example of a function. And a strategy is a combination of indicators with rules to maximize profits. So I'm going to use NinjaTrader today to look at some of those functions. And you will have, I'll also do on Wednesday, this Wednesday, I'll give a handout for a review sheet. The review sheet, what I'll give you is review for the terms for multiple choice and also for open-ended questions. But I assure you, on some of the open-ended questions, we'll be using questions like, what is a strategy, an indicator, an algorithm, and use an example of what we did in class for your class assignments. So when we look at NinjaTrader, I can do NinjaTrader. You can use it in the lab, use it. They've created a virtual desktop interface that asks us many security questions that, in my opinion, is not necessary. But because really there's nothing there in this virtual machine that should be on it persistent. What do you think that should be? Aaron? Aaron, are you there? So what, in this case, Daniel, what does persistence mean?
I'm sorry, your internet cut out for me, or probably my
Okay,
internet.
or can you hear me now?
I can. I heard the last word persistence,
Okay.
but in reference to what?
My question is, we're using a virtual machine, right,
Yeah.
Daniel? And what the problem with this virtual machine, it doesn't have persistence. What does that mean?
Mhm. It means that once you turn off the VM or disconnect, all the files disappear.
Know what a VM is for everyone.
A virtual machine?
Right.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? So what do I care? As an end user, as someone that's going to be using this software platform, this trading platform, why should I care?
Well, because if you save your files on the VDI, then you can't access them again after you've closed it.
Okay. What else? Besides just my personal files.
Well, say you've logged in or done anything on the
Right,
computer.
or even just think about what software are we using for, why are we bother using
Oh
this?
yeah, Ninja Trader also goes away and you have to, it reinstalls it for you every time.
Right, that's the main thing, right?
Yeah.
Because we should be able, in some ways, I think it even saves some of my files, right? When I'm doing, but what is the biggest problem is that every time Ninja Trader is available, right? That every time that I have the idea of Ninja Trader, I have to add it on my desktop. Does that do it every time like that, Daniel?
No.
Right. It should be installing and then it should persist, right? What is that? It should basically remain. And the last time they configured it, Daniel.
It did remain, but not anymore.
Right. So there's probably just some little attribute that they needed to check off that says persist.
Most likely, yeah.
And it wasn't even the idea that persistence, it probably wasn't even the issue that they're trying to make it more difficult. They just never configured, they never looked at it. And that's a problem with IT. You almost have always to have the end user, right? Like yourself, sit with them and try it out together. And try it out more than one time. So now at this point, it's saying, Daniel, connect to live data. And at that point, connect to live data. I'm not going to be using live data because in this system, what we're going to do is we're going to use end of day data. So everybody put that in your notes that you can connect to live data, that what's happening now. And if the market, the NASDAQ, for instance, closed at 4 p.m. Eastern time, we would still have 10 minutes. But we're going to skip this part and deal with this. And then here it's trying to give me tips to tell me the first thing I can do is I can get connections. I want to connect to data. And you always want to have data in order to do any type of algorithmic trading, right? And they're telling me I have to do connection to data. So if this is the case, Sebastian, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I want to do the first thing is what, Sebastian?
Set up a connection with
I
Kinetic.
want to set up a connection, and we're going to always use end of day data in that connection. I can hear that connection. And we talked about it before that I can do a chart to look at my strategy. And if I went to new and I set up a chart, the reason I'm setting up the chart is not, Sebastian, to get the data, but rather to view how the data is going to look. So I'm going to have to select something. And in this case, let me do, I'm going to do the Dow 30. And what did you choose, Sebastian? What symbol did you use?
I don't remember what company it was, but the symbol was V.
Was B?
V, like as in Victor.
It's Victor. Okay, I'm going to choose, it doesn't matter. And in this case, I said you can choose any.
Yeah, I think she's frozen. Or not there at all. You guys have any questions during this time, I guess? All good. Grades are posted for screencasting, and also the VDI exercise, and they will be posted probably on the weekend for the first NinjaTrader assignment. So if you guys have any issues, email me or chat me or something like that. I'm sure we can resolve them or clear up any confusion. But yeah.
Is there like a makeup policy if I like missed recording?
Just stay after class and then we can figure it out. That's up to professor.
All right, thanks.
And yeah, the first NinjaTrader is not due until Wednesday. It got moved from today until
Okay.
Wednesday.
Hi, you hear me?
Hi, Professor. Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, I got disconnected, as
Yeah.
you see.
I was
So
just
we-
answering some questions.
Good, that's a great idea. So Daniel, whenever anything happens like that, you know that you have to take over. Okay. So let me do this. We'll see if we can go. So at this point, let me just even try. Let me share my screen. We'll see how it goes. You know what I think I'm not going to do? I'm not going to take the risk of being in that Citrix workplace. That's going to put even more pressure. Let's see if this will work. Let's see. Oh, let's see if let's see if I'm stuck here. I think, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
let's see if this will work. I hate even to think about it. I'm gonna move it today. Everybody seeing what I'm doing? Daniel, do you see what I'm doing?
Yes.
Okay, so let's see if it loads. I have a chart here. Apply a strategy to it. We are using the sample MA crossover is what we're using. So you can put in your notes, right? That if I went in my notepad, that you can using that we're always going to be using then that MA moving average crossover. And it means that I have two indicators that are I'm going to just call it SMA. That will enter a trade and short a trade. That's the built-in strategy. And if I enable it and say okay and confirm, I have two, and I'm just going to change the color of the properties of one of these. Properties, and this is the slow moving average. Let me just change the coloring so we can see it better. I'm just going to do it blue, or I'll do it navy, royal blue. Apply and okay. And you can see that what happens when I cross over and it goes below, when the gold crosses below the blue, it will sell short. When it goes you can see here of selling short, you can see here selling short, and in some ways it will buy. Now, if I want to see the performance, I can just go to strategy performance, sample MA crossover, and historical. I can see this is in dollar amount. I want to change it to percent. And I have my percentage, and I say that in this case, IBM daily gives me 11%. My long trades are good, my short trades are losers. And then I export Excel. Now, this is the question, Daniel, for you. You hear me, Daniel?
Yes.
I told the students I'd like them to pick and choose the highest total net profit, right? And they would do
Yes.
it randomly.
Mhm.
Now that we know we know NinjaTrader a bit better, how can a student find an SMA 1025 that would be higher than just randomly picking it?
Back testing a whole index.
That's one of the ways. So what I could do is I could go to new, and everybody can look at that strategy analyzer. Let me make this larger. I could go to strategy analyzer and look where it says back test, right? I can pick my strategy, which is what? Sample MA crossover. I'm going to remain at 1025, and the instrument I can check on Dow 30. I can select all 30 stocks. It has the type minute. So what does that have to be changed to, Sebastian? Instead of minute, it should be changed to what?
Day.
Day. And instead of year to date, I need to change the start date to September, and this is the 30th. I'll make it the 29th, just to have it the 29th to the 25, use it, and I would run then my strategy. So I kept it as back test. I kept my sample MA crossover. I kept 1025. I just looked at the Dow 30 stocks, and I'm doing the day as one, making sure that I have a year, and now I run. It's going to calculate then how many symbols. It's going to calculate 30 symbols rather than me having to do one by one. It will then do this, and at this time, I want to make sure that this is in percent. So if you having any problems, if you had currency, right, make sure that this is in percent. And what I'd like to do, this says it's all 1025. And what I want to do is what? I want to take, Sebastian, I want to take this column of the total net profit. I want to click on it. You see, I have an up arrow there. I want to click on that arrow again. And this gives me 88.94. And it is INTC as the best. I highlight that INTC, and you can see that for the SMA, these are the best. Now, what I like is you can decide what columns, do you see this, Daniel? You can decide what columns you want on this result page. Whatever you highlight as one, you have it down below here, and you could even do this, Daniel, as your first exercise. Just use strategy analyzer, back test, sample MA crossover. Look at the Dow 30 and do 8894 and then export this. Do you see that, Daniel?
Yes.
So you could just use that as the first assignment rather than doing it from the chart. Do you get the same data, Daniel? Yeah, you get the same data, and then you could export that. And noting that you export it, that you know what my total profit, and make sure then I know what it is. So now you see down below, Daniel, I have a tab here called Analyzer.
Yeah.
I could rename it even if I wanted and say that's the Dow 30. If I wanted to look at the NASDAQ 100, what would I have to do, Daniel? I go back to back test. This is all zeros. Do you see that, Daniel? This
Yeah,
here
just
is
change the instrument and decide.
First of all, change the strategy. Make sure that this says change it to what? Day. And change the instrument. I could change then the instrument to what? NASDAQ 100. And then if I ask someone, let's do NASDAQ 100. Do select all, right? Change my date, right? Daniel, to the 29th. I have this all, I'm not going to include commissions, and now run it. I should be running it. Some of the NASDAQs have a couple of symbols, some for different ones, but it's approximately 100 of the NASDAQ 100, and I'm waiting 100 times. And then, Daniel, I could say, if my thing is find me the 1025 of the NASDAQ 100, the S&P 500 and the Dow 30, I can make, you see that
I guess her internet isn't that stable. Does anyone else have other questions or concerns?
I have a question.
Sure.
For the assignment that's due on Wednesday, are we just submitting the like Excel file, like the ending? Like we don't have to screen record what we
Yeah, no
did?
screen recording.
Okay.
Just copy the format that's in group 0 example and make sure it follows the same steps as the assignment.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone
Wait,
else?
there's something due this Wednesday and next Monday.
Yes, that's correct. Any other questions? Yeah, you guys can just use the restroom if you need, whenever. Like, you don't have to ask. Anything else, or do we just sit here in silence? I love silence. Oh, there we go. Hi, Professor.
I'm having issues, right?
It's just one of those days.
One of those days. Okay, so what did you understand, Daniel, from what I just explained?
You cut off right at the end there.
Okay. So what did you get till I cut off?
You had pulled up the second strategy analyzer page and you had started putting in all the information,
Right.
including
So-
NASDAQ 100.
Right. So basically what you can do in NinjaTrader on the tabs down below, Daniel, is you can just add different views. So then you could look at each of your different views rather than starting all over and then
Yeah.
find your best ones. Okay. So
It's
let's,
a good piece of software.
I don't know about good. There are other,
Functional.
it's functional for this part to show our issue. I wouldn't give it that rating of good. So let's do this. Why don't you, Daniel, do you have NinjaTrader in front of you?
I don't, but I can pull it up within a
Yeah,
couple
so
minutes.
pull it up. So who in this case, so Sebastian, do you have NinjaTrader in front of you? Aaron, do you have it on your computer?
Sorry, Sebastian was using the restroom. He told me to
Yeah,
tell him.
okay, fine. So let's think of it. So now your question I'm asking everybody to do is on the test, it would be, what is the strategy for the SMA 1025? Write it down. What is the strategy for the SMA 1025 in NinjaTrader? What is it in words? What is it in English? Basically write what you think the strategy is.
As in, explain how that works, or
So so basically in your own, in English words, what would be the strategy for NinjaTrader? That's the question. So how can you find that? So we're gonna try to figure out, we had what? We had two indicators, and what were those, Antonio, what were those indicators? We had indicators that were called what? One indicator was a sample moving average of 10 periods, right, Antonio? And the other was a sample moving average of what? 25 periods. And when they crossed over, we asked then the strategy was the computer then ended up either entering a trade or shorting a trade. So you tell me, Daniel, when you get NinjaTrader up and running.
I'm working on it.
Okay. So Aaron, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Aaron? So what did I say? I have two indicators, Antonio. What is one indicator? It says sample moving average with how many periods? 10 periods, right? And another one with how many periods?
25, no?
25. And when they cross over, that's when a decision is done. So when I have two indicators and when one crosses the other, some kind of task will be done. In this case, we'll either enter a long position or enter a short position. And Daniel, you'll tell me when you have your NinjaTrader.
Yeah,
running.
it's getting things ready. This may take a few
Okay,
minutes.
so are you trying it on you're trying it on your computer, your laptop, or in
Citrix.
a Citrix? And that's the problem. I got it. Citrix was we have to find out for next semester. We have to find another way to do this because the Citrix it was getting me out.
They
as
could just
well.
do
But,
it like before, but
I know, just get rid of Citrix and just get me to the machine and get rid of that Citrix part. The Citrix is causing too many issues. So when I end up doing that crossover, when it crosses below, when the fast crosses below, I do an action. Did you hear that, Antonio? When the sample moving average fast crosses below the sample moving average slow, I perform a task. And when it crosses above, I do another task. And what are the two tasks? Enter a long position or buy, or enter a short position, and I'm betting that it's going down. That is the algorithm for the sample moving average for 10 periods and 25 periods. Now, can we change the parameters, Ethan John? Can we change the parameters of the sample moving average?
Yes.
Yes, and you can give it a range. So one of the things that we talked about back testing was looking at two parameters, and we're going to look backwards in time to see how that strategy would have performed for the past year had we implemented that strategy. But if I want to change those parameters and still back test, I can use another back testing type rather than standard for one, remaining with the same parameters. I give it a range of parameters. That's called what, Ethan John? Optimization. So our first example was to back test in a standard way, going backward in time to see how that strategy would have done. Optimization is what?
There we go.
Optimization is not only going back in time, but having a set of parameters that it will do several parameters and give me the best one. So in this case, if I do we're doing percent, and what are we having here? I have back test typed. You see that on my settings, sample crossover, and 1025.
And I put 2 tabs here so you can see
Right,
this
so you
Dow
can
30.
see, and now you can see on the go to gross profit. I get gross profit for what? NASDAQ 100. Look at that, 191%. And notice when I highlighted, what about my short trades, Daniel?
They're less profitable, that's for
But
sure.
they're all profitable, right? What you remember
That's
with
true.
this, right? That it is, I probably maybe would say just do my long trades, but my short trades are making money, so I'll keep it.
Yeah,
In some of those, I wanted to eliminate it. So you can see that these top 4, right? If I say, wow, you know what I wanted to do? I wanted to do more than 100% for the year. I could just invest in all those 4
yeah.
and put them in my portfolio, right? And you can see then when you highlight each of those, you can see that what you want to have then is your top window will allow us to do this. And in this case, what you can do, right click,
On this?
yeah, right click on it and go to properties. And under properties, move down a bit, just move down to where it says results. Expand results. And if you expand result, just go slow. And then you can see I can add anything I want. I can do back test type, which will just tell me back test that I'm doing. And notice here, I can do, you see end date? Click on end
Yes.
date, yes. And then keep on going down slow. I'll keep, what else? And then I have max drawdown. Sometimes I want a max drawdown. I have my parameters, which is good. And then what else? Take out performance. I don't need performance. And profit factor, I don't need. Take off profit factor and go down. No, not apply. And then I want start date. You see that? Why that's nice to have, Daniel, in your spreadsheet? Because then you can actually say what dates are talking. Just because you put in the date doesn't mean that's the dates that you were analyzing.
Yeah.
So now if I say okay, you see here where I get now my start date, my end date, and my parameters. So and I have my total. Then it's nice when I then export it to Excel. I'll have the starting date and the ending date. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
And then it's easy for anyone to say, well, we're not comparing the same thing. Well, because, when I did the NASDAQ 100, I had different instruments showing there. That's the reason. So I have now the strategy. And the last thing I wanted to show you is if you go to new on the other control panel, the control panel up.
Oh, here.
Yeah. If I go to new and I go to Ninja Script Editor.
Here it is.
Yes. And what do I want to do? I want to see the code, right? Antonio, I want to see the code of my strategies. In this case, what folder should I look under? Strategies, right? So in this case, I'm going to click on strategies. And which strategy are we using? We're using the sample MA crossover. Click on the sample MA crossover. And in this case, I get all this code that most people say, I don't understand it. And now with the advent of AI, no code, you can get the computer to write the code. But let's now, in this case, make it a little bit larger. So right click right there, right click inside the editor and go to, in this case, go to properties. And now under properties, you see where it says the text editor font, expand that. And now you see where it says size, let's make it 20. Say apply and say okay. And at this point, let's go down in our code. This tells me the SMA, the two indicators go down, but it's right there at the bottom. Perfect. Right there. If, start in line 66, highlight 66 to 69. Nikita, that is the, do you see that code, line 66 to 69, Nikita?
Yeah.
Basically, what we're saying is we have two indicators. One is called SMA fast, which is my 10 periods in my case, and SMA slow, which I can change. And if on line 66, if SMA fast crosses above the SMA slow, line 67 tells us what to do. And read to me, Nikita, what 67 says.
Line 67 says enter long.
Enter long, meaning go ahead in the trade and we're going to look in the future and we think it's going to be going positive. So we're enter long is like say buy. You can put that in note. So if I asked you, thank you, Daniel, for the green arrow, beautiful. So if we look at that, enter long is basically that is a preset function in NinjaTrader to say we want to enter a trade. So in English, if I asked you what was Nikita, what was the strategy, you could say if, right, the SMA fast crossed above the SMA slow, then buy. But the actual wording here, if you told the computer that, then via a wizard, the computer would then write the code for you. So what I'm going to ask you on the exam is not to know what is this exact coding. You don't have to know that anymore. But rather, do you understand the logic? And if it crossed below line 69, would tell me, read that for me, Nikita, you're on a roll. What does it say?
It says enter short with the parentheses.
Right, and enter short means what? Are we betting that it's going to be going up or going down?
That's going to be going down.
Down. Enter a short trade. Those four lines are the essence of the strategy, Nikita. That's the essence of the strategy. We got two indicators. One is the SMA fast, the other one is the SMA slow. When it crosses, the SMA fast crosses above, we enter a long or we buy. Else, if it enters below, we enter what, Nikita?
We enter short.
Short. That's it. And the strategy analyzer, if you go back to that, thank you, Daniel. If we go back to the strategy analyzer, if we go back here to the strategy analyzer, if I wanted, Daniel, just to do, since I knew, for instance, what was it, that CRN, let me go to the first tab there. What's the first tab? Which I got good, it was what?
This is Dow and this is NASDAQ.
Okay, so the Dow gave me what? So go to total
Apple.
net profit.
Oh wait,
No.
let me sort it.
Right? It goes by alphabetical.
INTC.
Right. 88%. What does NASDAQ give me? Go to Analyzer 2.
It gives you the crowd CRWD.
Right, CRWD. So instead, go to Analyzer 3,
Sure.
where I have nothing here. I could do back test, right? Change the strategy to what, Daniel? Sample MA
crossover.
10. And the instrument, this could be exercise 1, really. CRW, you see that CRWD, the first one, select that. Last, change minute to what? Day.
Day.
Right? Change the date. Did I have a year? And now I go down and then I run. How many times 1, and I get the answer here, and I get 101. And I
Same
can
number.
expert. So in preparation, even if somebody knew for exercise 1, they say, oh, let me find the highest one and just get that information. You could do it that way as well. Do you see how really strategy analyzer for this, Daniel, it doesn't have to have the chart. Why do I like the chart for one section? Is that I can understand what in the background is
Yeah.
the basic.
And to show why it's useful.
Right, and to see the profitability of it and have an idea what's happening in the background. So it's important to have the chart so you can have a visual view, but just to have the computer, once I'm having this all automated and the AI works on it, the AI doesn't need to see any charts. Right, all it's going to be doing is it'll have, and it can have tens of these, create them. And then you can say, hey, I want to deal just with the NASDAQ. So you'll do that, or compare that, the NASDAQ and the Dow 30 and the 100, and it can do it on a constant basis. And give me at the end, every day it gives me a report. And when do I concern that all of a sudden that this strategy no longer works?
Yeah. One
And
thing
then
I've also found, you can
What?
duplicate these at the bottom.
Right,
That probably saves some time.
yeah. So when you duplicate it, then you don't have to try, does it let
Yeah,
you?
then you don't have to fill in all the information again.
Right. Perfect. And then you have the correct dates and you just change the instrument.
Yeah. So say you did assignment 1 and then 2, you could just change it from backtest to optimize and leave the settings almost the same.
Well, for optimize, you have to change the setting.
Yeah, the parameters, but it's a small
But
thing.
everything, yeah, exactly. And you could, or you could do the back test of the, let's say all 3 of the indexes, you almost could do in reverse, do that
Yeah, and
reverse and
compare
then
them.
go back to the first exercise, right? Or come back to the
Yeah.
But it's the same idea. The first exercise, what is good is that you've already done the charts. But I just wanted to show you for today, I wanted to show you that those settings work that way. Okay, any questions? So the exercise, the first exercise then, Nikita, is due Wednesday. And then the optimization is due on the following Monday. And Wednesday we'll go over, I'll give you a review sheet for the exam and open-ended questions and go over security. And then on Monday, I'll do a full, during the weekend, then you can study and then come up on Monday, Nikita, and ask me questions during the class and we'll do a full review. And if you have no questions, I'll do a review of what I think is important. So questions, Nikita?
I'm sorry, what did you say?
Do you have any questions?
No, I understood it. Thank you.
Okay, great. Anything else? Any comments, Daniel, that you want to cover?
No. Grades are posted. If anyone has issues, just email me or professor.
Okay.
Yeah. Best of luck with Ninja Trader.
Okay, all right. So let's do this. Let's can you do attendance?
I can.
Yeah. So why don't you do you're since you're the co-host today, let's see if you can
I'm
do,
already there. Yeah.
yeah, let's see if you can do attendance.
Sure thing. All right.
Okay, and check in. You just have to go to check in to the left.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
8950.
8950. So when I want to thank then Dan take over when we had all these connection issues.
It happens.
It happens all the time.
Chaos is the expectation with tech.
Right. That's the expectation that we and that we prepare for if there are issues. We
Absolutely.
prefer it. Okay, great. So
If you guys have questions, stay to the end.
Yeah, and then you can stay with me. Thank you very much, and thanks a lot. And hopefully that clarified. And Nikita, thanks.
Of
Thank
course.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm staying on just because I wanted to quickly just make sure that I understood your messages that you sent, Daniel.
Sure.
So sorry, I'm trying to sign in as well at the same time for attendance to my.
It's all good. If you don't make it in time, I can always update it manually after.
Okay, thank you.
I'm having some trouble downloading NinjaTrader on my computer. Like I used it in the computer lab, but for some reason, like when I try to download it, it won't like download on my computer.
Okay, what,
Are you on a, oh,
go
are you on
ahead,
a Mac
Daniel.
or?
I'm on a Mac, yeah.
Yeah, you can't download it to the Mac, although you can use the Citrix if that works.
You can use
Okay, so-
the virtual. Did you try the virtual?
The virtual, what's the virtual? Sorry.
What were you trying to
Remember
do?
the VDI assignment where you connect?
Yeah, and I was having trouble like even opening the VDI on my computer.
Should we go through that?
Or you know what, Jasper, what I suggest you do is, did it work for you on in NinjaTrader in the lab?
Yeah.
So I would suggest you go to the lab and do the assignment there.
Okay. And so like when will the like okay, so
Did you do anything in the lab? Did you
yeah, I got the first two I got the two assignments done
Okay,
that
so
we were
that's
supposed to do in
great. So
class.
you got it for Wednesday. And so now go ahead and go to the lab for the second assignment. So you'll have
Okay,
time.
all right.
And then when you get
All right.
stuck, Jasper, then on Wednesday you can stay after class and see what's the issue.
All right, perfect. All right, thank
You
you.
know what I mean? This way, because you're gonna mess with that VDI for hours, you know, and it's not gonna work.
Okay.
Now you know where the lab is. You know how to
Yeah.
operate NinjaTrader from the lab. It's just easier. Just go there.
Professor,
All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, great.
Professor, Professor.
Yes.
Hi, I don't know what happened, but my attendance wasn't booked, and so it says I was absent, but I've been here.
Refresh.
Oh. Okay. Thank you. Have a great day.
Great.
You too.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I was using the restroom and then I came back and then now I need the code and then
Refresh.
refresh. Okay, thank you.